Hi, everyone, and welcome to Arguably Speaking.
My name's Kiera,
And my name is Sarah.
and we are your co-hosts for this evening. Well, it's evening for us.
Yes, it is.
And because we are officially on episode 2, we thought it'd be really nice to have a getting to know you episode.
Yes, that way you can know a little bit more about us before we launch into all of those crazy stories that you might need some background information for.
Yes. So I think the first thing that we wanted to do, we saw this fun little challenge on TikTok or Reels because we use Reels.
Yeah, I'm an Instagram Reels watcher. Don't
I
make fun of
know, I
me.
know. Everyone says it's a millennial thing, but I just do it because I'm like, if I'm on TikTok, that's like a second social media.
Yeah.
And I'm like, at least it's only on one.
I've only been on one social media today.
Exactly, it's not that bad.
It's fine.
But yeah, this
Yeah.
trend is kind of like how I see them versus how they see me, and then you get pictures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm explaining it well.
I think that's good. It's a grid of different items, and then you choose an item that you think represents the person's overall vibe or like being, I guess, their essence, if you will.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So we have done one for ourselves, and then we've also done one for the other person. So we're gonna kind of share them with each other and talk through it as our first little getting to know you. We would tell you the story of how we met, but Kira and I were talking about how we do not remember.
we just met when we were young
Yeah.
at probably a mutual friend's birthday party.
Yeah.
I don't know if I
Okay, that's
remember
fine.
it,
Kira
but
doesn't
I was
remember it. It wasn't
probably there.
impactful. No, that's super fair. Okay.
Okay. So, who do we want to start with? And do we want to show each other like at the same time? Are we showing each other the whole thing? I was just going to show one picture at a time.
Well, that's cool. I did not prepare as well as you did, obviously. I was doing
Just
this
pictures on my phone, so it's a little different.
right before. How about you show me yours for me first?
Okay.
So Kira's gonna show how she sees Sarah.
So, just for some context, the 9 different photos that we picked in this order, we are going. Wow, no, in this order, we're going to talk about them. So, animal, place, plant, character, season, hobby, color, crystal, and food. And to be fair, I feel like some of these are a lot harder than
Yeah,
others.
some of them are really hard. I was like, what is Kira's vibe in a place?
Or
I got a really good one though.
for the first animal that I chose, for Sarah, I picked a golden retriever.
Aw.
Specifically, a golden retriever that's like running with its tongue out.
That's so cute.
I'm not sure if it's worth like showing or if we should.
We'll blop them on the video.
Yeah, we'll try to.
Yeah. And by blop, I mean make it so that it shows on the YouTube video.
Yes.
Later
And for
in the
those of you
editing phase.
listening and only listening, we're just going to try to describe things well
Yeah.
this time.
Let your imagination run wild.
But yeah, I feel like Sarah is generally just a very happy person and also very energetic.
Oh.
When she knows there's something exciting happening, I feel like nothing can dampen that excitement, which is just so wonderful and like such a
Yay.
great quality. Also, running
Yeah.
has been an off and on thing.
True.
But you would
true.
like dart to like thing to thing, like almost a happy dance. Like that's what I think about with like golden retrievers.
I like that. I
So-
think that's super cute.
That's what I picked for you.
Okay, so what I picked for Kira was don't look over here. I'm
Okay.
gonna try and make it just look like the one photo.
I don't need to see it either.
I chose a parrot. I was really nervous about all of these, you guys, because I just did not want to hurt Kira's feelings.
It's fair.
Not that I like was going to try to or anything. I just like feel like my idea of Kira in my mind, I wanted to communicate it in a way that sounded good instead of like that's weird. Because sometimes my brain is a little weird. But no, I picked out a parrot, specifically like a flying parrot with lots of bright colors. Because Kira, in my mind, is very bright And Kira's very chatty. Like she loves to talk. And so I was like, oh, like a parrot is like one of the only animals that like can actually talk and things like that,
Sure.
which I thought was kind of funny. And also like I wanted to pick something that had a lot of different bright colors because you're
No.
just like a very bright person and you like having a bunch of different colors in your style and like your decor and things like that. And like it's a very pretty animal. Like I feel like, you know, a parrot makes itself look nice. And I feel like that's the same kind of like, you know, like appearances for a parrot are like good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Parrots are really loyal.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like once like they're very intelligent, A, which you are also intelligent. That was totally part of my decision making.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm sure.
but like you're very loyal and you're very like yeah, like you make a lot of effort in your relationships, and so I wanted to choose something that would be kind of like that.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that this is not like there are a couple I think funny ones on here, but
Okay.
there's nothing that's mean, and this is just a very good pick me up for me.
Yeah, good. Make your day better. Okay, I'm gonna
Okay.
go next
Yep.
because
We'll go
I
back and
think we
forth.
can alternate. So the next item that we were supposed to pick is a place. And the item that I chose for Kira is a board game cafe.
Wait, that's so cute.
I know. So this was like the last one that I chose, you guys, because I was having a really hard time trying to think of a place that would have the same vibe that Kira does. And I didn't want to choose like an actual place in the world. I kind of wanted it to be like a category of places, which is how I got to a board game cafe. Because Kira loves games, like I said before. Um, she is good at games and she's, you know, fun to play with most of the time. I haven't had a time where I've played with you that hasn't been fun yet, which is good. I feel like there are a lot of people in my life where I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna play Uno with so and so
Because I'll
again.
get really sad or upset or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. And so I chose this because I feel like A, it kind of fits your vibe, and also it would be a place that you would really enjoy spending time in.
Wow, that's such a good one. I feel like you really okay, so I was listening to her make it, but she wouldn't let me see any of the like photos or anything.
Yeah.
And so she kept going, ooh, ooh, ooh. And I kind of kept getting worried. Perfect. So for Sarah, this one might be a little bit on the nose. But I did pick the University of Nebraska Husky Stadium. Huskers, sorry.
Whoa.
Huskers Stadium. Yes, to be very specific. Um, so a little known fact about Sarah is that she has always had so much school spirit and also just like pride for what she does and what she's a part of, I think. You're always really proud and really happy to be doing what you're doing. And I feel like whenever I would call you on the phone, you're like, oh my gosh, we just went to a Huskers game and
Yeah.
had so much fun. And I got to wear my red glasses and my red beads and my red shirt. And even in high school, we would have these themed spirit weeks. And essentially every day, it was like, I don't know, like homecoming week, we would have a spirit week. And during that, they'd be themed. Like one day is like pajama day, or one day is decade day, or something like that. And Sarah would always be the best dressed in our whole school. Granted, our school was fairly small.
Whoa. Let's not qualify this. Okay, let's just keep the compliment
No,
up. Just kidding.
definitely like such a wonderful quality to really care about everything that you do. The plant that I picked for Sarah was like sunflowers, specifically like a field of sunflowers.
Pretty.
Because sunflowers, one, are bright in color, and I just think of bright things and like happy things, and that's gonna be a common theme for
Aw.
like you're bored.
Yay.
But also, sunflowers follow the sun. And like, I feel like they follow the good things in your life. That's what you do. You follow,
Nice.
like, you follow your passions and things that make you happy. And you don't let
Yeah.
anything stop you from doing that. Like the other night, you went to like a dance class because you really enjoy dancing.
I did.
Especially, like, you're able to do that both with groups of people and by yourself. So I think that's just like a very cool quality.
Thanks.
And yeah,
I
that's
appreciate
that.
that. That makes me super happy. Yeah, everything that you're saying, I'm like, wow, yeah, that's totally how I am. Like I do, I like if there's something that I would enjoy, I'm gonna go do it, you know? Even if it's on my
Totally.
own or it might be a little uncomfy, you know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go do it. Even if it involves having to drive in Seattle, I
Which
was, which is not that bad, you guys. It's just me. I'm not a very confident driver. My plant for Kira is a Monstera. I can't remember this.
delicioso.
Deliciosa. I
There you
couldn't
go.
remember the second word, but Kira loves plants, and Kira owns a lot of plants. And Kira owns more plants now than she did 2 days ago because Kira went and picked up like three more plants. But one of these plants was a Monstera deliciosa.
There you go.
And I was really struggling with the whole plant thing because, as we know, Kira does landscape architecture for her life. And so plants are a really big deal for you. And I was like, I can't just pick a, like, you know, humdrum, like, run of the mill plant. I need to pick something that's pretty. And I think that, you know, the Monstera deliciosa, while it is all green and it doesn't have a lot of colors, unlike the parrot, which I chose for you because it does have a lot of colors, it is just like a very visually interesting plant. Its leaves are kind of funky. And I don't know, I just feel like it was very, very pretty. I don't know, I guess I just think you're really pretty. I don't know how to explain it. You have a very beautiful vibe.
Aw,
Yeah.
this is great.
Okay, so the next section is a character, which I chose a character from a show that hopefully some of you have seen. I know some of you because my friends are watching this, but Kira has not.
Which is okay.
Yes, this character is named Perfuma, and she is from She-Ra, a cartoon show, I guess. It's a very good show. It's kind of like He-Man, like female version of He-Man is She-Ra. The lore is great. It's a wonderful like pride show. But anyways, Perfuma is a princess and she has like plant powers. And I was like, Kira likes plants, and this category is really hard. Um, but also it's really funny because Perfuma, most of the time is like very pleasant and very agreeable. But every now and then she gets like really frustrated and it's very funny. And I feel like Kira is also the same way, like usually very pleasant, very agreeable, like cool, let's I'm good, yeah, sure. And then every now and then it's like, oh, Kira's like she has things that she cares about
Yeah.
very specifically
That's
and is
true.
very opinionated about and will not be like afraid to express those opinions.
Like plain Greek yogurt.
Yeah. Kira said the other day, she was like, ew, plain Greek yogurt? Like, I would never, what did you even say?
I think
I'm
I
just
was like,
stuttering
I
now.
would never eat that. Like, I cannot believe you're eating that. That is absolutely disgusting.
I would only eat plain Greek yogurt if someone forced me to eat plain Greek yogurt. It was so funny. It was like ridiculous. But anyways, so yes, a plant power princess is the character I chose for Kira.
My character for Sarah is Scuttle
Nice.
from The Little Mermaid
That's so
for
funny.
a couple reasons. One, because Scuttle helps Ariel collect things, like thingamabobs. And if you know Sarah, one of the wonderful qualities that she has inherited from her parents is like collecting fun, unique, antique items. Like, even look at the fun patterned shirt that you are wearing today. For those that cannot see, it's like cow print and it's buttoned up and it's very cool.
I sewed this.
She sewed that.
I did.
And also, if you go into their house, you'll see like a menagerie of fun objects. And it just really reminded me of Scuttle.
Cute.
But also sometimes the way Scuttle talks, like the inflections.
Okay.
I'm not saying that your voice sounds like Scuttle by any means.
Okay.
But when you get excited, just like me, I think we both sound a little bit similar when we get excited.
Yeah.
Like our voice just goes,
Pitch goes up. And we get really excited.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I feel like Scuttle does that too,
Yeah,
and
I
he's
like it.
like very animated when he talks.
I think that's fun.
But mostly like the thingamabobs, the
Yeah.
who's its and what's its.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something that you very much enjoy.
Yeah. No, it's true. Well, and also like Scuttle thinks that he knows a lot of things. And like I feel like I sometimes also try and like give off the idea that I know a lot of a lot of things. Does that make sense? Kira will ask me all the time, she's like, "Oh my gosh, do you know blah 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 blah?" And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
"Yeah." And then I just hope that I can get it from the rest of the context. And so yeah, I think that's funny. I like that. Good job.
Yes,
Okay, do you want to
I like
do my
Scuttle.
season?
Yes. So for the season, I picked, wow, it's gonna take a second. You can't really see what season this is gonna be because it's sunset,
I
which I
see
feel like
corn.
is difficult. Yeah, I picked specifically summer sunset with the cornfields.
No.
We've already talked about you being from Nebraska,
That's true.
but I think it just goes back to like warmth and like happiness and also just like your presence generally is just warm and exciting. It's a
Thanks.
summer vibe. Um and yeah, I don't know. I think there isn't as much to say for the seasons. Maybe that's
Yeah,
just me because there's only 4 seasons.
I don't have as much to say for yours either.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Then let's just go through this one quicker.
I chose yours to be spring, mostly just because I feel like spring is a very like energizing time of year. Like you get excited in spring, you know? And also there's a lot going on, which I feel like kind of fits your vibe, your lifestyle. Is like there's new stuff happening all the time, you
Yeah.
know? And I feel like spring is very much like a new stuff kind of season. So that's what I've got.
Yeah.
And the next one is a hobby. Now, I told Kira when we were doing this that I was gonna have to make an argument for why this picture is a hobby. She is looking at it. Would you like to describe what you're looking at?
I think it's like some type of night market or something like that. There's a bunch of tents, people are walking around, and it's definitely nighttime.
Yes, yeah. So it is a night market. And it's like an aerial shot because all of the other pictures that I found were like kind of bad. But yeah, so I was gonna choose like I wanted it to be some sort of like event with like kind of that buzz of like things are happening and like you can go like I know that this sounds similar to why I chose spring, but it
That's okay.
fits,
It's
okay?
okay.
But also markets have a lot of stuff going on. There's like a lot of different things that come together to make them an event. You know, you might have some live music, you might have some crafting vendors, you might have, you know, some food vendors and things like that. And I feel like you have a lot of different stuff that you like have in your life, like a bunch of different parts of your personality and also like hobbies and activities that you like to do that like come together to make Kira. And so I know it's not really a hobby and it's more of a place, but like there are people who go to markets
As a
as
hobby?
like, yeah, like their thing is community events, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Believe that.
So
I can
I
go
don't have
behind
to
it.
convince anyone except for myself, and I'm right. So that's fine.
Well, it makes me feel a little bit better because I feel like mine was a little bit too like simple. Like I just know this is one of your hobbies. And I think it's something that has grown a lot like throughout the years. Um, if you'd like to describe the picture. I tried to find a fun
It's a
catch.
good one. It's a good one. So this is a picture of some people playing ultimate frisbee.
Specifically women.
Specifically women, and specifically someone is trying to make a layout D, which is where you like dive to hit the frisbee before the person that was intended to catch it catches it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I thought it would almost be criminal to not put this as like one of your number one hobbies. Granted, Sarah does have a lot of hobbies. I could have put up many things here, but Ultimate Frisbee was definitely the thing that came to mind first.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so the next one is a color, which I recognize in an audio format is not ideal to try and describe. But mine is a square of color. I just saw Kira's picture and it's more exciting. But I chose, so Kira's favorite color is orange. And I know that Kira's favorite color is orange. But I did not choose orange because orange didn't have the right vibe in my head. And I couldn't find a good orange that I liked. And really, when I was thinking about like, okay, what is Kira's vibe? When I was thinking about it, the thing that really came to mind was like a sage green, like a light sage green. And that's what I have here for you today. I just got into weird like presentation
That's
mode.
what we have for you today.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming to the presentation.
Please fill out the survey on your way out. We want to know how you enjoyed our event. Anyways, I don't know. I feel like sage is a very like both soft and like calming color, which again, Kiera is busy and she has a lot of energy and she's exciting and all of those things, but also like she's a very easy person to be around, and Sage is a very easy person to look at. And it's not a person, it's a color.
I get it.
But that's what I have to say.
I can pick up there.
You can tell that we're trying really hard not to laugh loudly because it messed up the last audio.
We're trying to talk and use our inside voices, and it's probably working. We're gonna see later how well it works.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're trying. For my color, for Sarah, I did pick yellow. One, because her favorite color is yellow, and I know that's kind of a cop-out, but I feel like the picture, yes, look at, she has made, if you can't see this, she's made several pillows, and they're both yellow. Also, her room is themed yellow.
It's true.
However, I did not just choose a flat color of yellow. I chose like the I think it's called like bokeh or something, where it's like a lens flare kind of thing, and that's
yeah.
where you get the little like dots of color. And I did this because Sarah's very layered.
Wow.
No, I'm kind of making that shit up. Or I'm kind of making that up.
Making that leap up.
We're trying to be PG, okay?
Yep. You're just pulling it out of your ass. Just kidding.
But no, I picked this multi-layered kind of yellow because I think yellows have a lot different feel. Like a really bright yellow feels like energetic and like moving around a lot, and sometimes that's how Sarah is, like doing this and doing this, and I want to do this hobby and I want to try this. Especially when meeting new people, I feel like we both go like, "Hi, it's great to meet you. I want to be a car salesman now," and really like
We're really good at selling ourselves
but also
in a casual kind of way. Sorry, keep going.
but also like the deeper yellow that kind of almost fades into gold, because you just have a golden personality. For the next one, it's a crystal. That's the next category, which I thought was kind of difficult. I had to look up crystal meanings and like backgrounds for them. Because I was trying to find something that fit with the vibe, but also fit with the color scheme.
Cool.
And I came up with calcite golden, or golden calcite. But it's basically this like lighter colored crystal, kind of brownish.
Yeah.
My words are failing me.
It's like a tan.
Yeah, I think this is a better picture of it.
Oh yeah.
If it's fractured, it looks a lot different than when it's polished.
Yeah.
But it stands for joy and lightheartedness. I'm just gonna read this little blurb because I think it's better than what I could explain. But calcite is a strong stone used to help amplify and cleanse the energy around you. It will ground you and bring you joy and lightheartedness into your life. It helps to balance the emotion, boost the memory, which memory is a big thing for Sarah.
That's true.
And remembering things, of course. Calms the mind, alleviates stress, enhances trust in oneself, and strengthens the ability to overcome setbacks, connecting to the emotions with the intellect. Golden calcite is excellent for meditation and attuning your mind to higher planes, and induces a deeper sense of relaxation. I think some of that is more like for meditation, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like joy, lightheartedness, good for memory, good for staying grounded.
I like it.
So I was like,
That's really
This
nice.
feels great.
I put a lot less thought into my crystal for Kira. I chose this sparkly orange one because I thought it was pretty. And I felt bad for not choosing orange for my color. And it's called Sunstone Heliolite.
Is it actually?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I did not write it down. I thought I did. I checked. I did not write it down. Just kind of an L. But yeah, like I said, did not put a whole lot of thought into that one, and I was kind of hoping you did the same. Now, my next one, I think, is ideal for Kira on multiple planes of existence. So the next category is food, and I chose a crab and cream cheese wonton, which we always called them wontons, but they're actually called rangoons.
I don't really know what the correct terminology is. Is it a regional geographical thing?
I have no idea.
Because when I saw Rangoon, I was shocked.
No, literally, me too.
I was like, the
Well,
wonton.
yeah, because okay. So for those of you who are
Background.
confused, it's the four-cornered, foldy, fried thing that you can get at Chinese food places.
Yeah, and it has the cream cheese and crab stuffing
Yeah.
on the inside.
Yeah.
You can kind of like break them
You
off.
dip it.
Sometimes sweet and sour
it up.
sauce.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's delicious, just like Kira. Just kidding.
Sarah.
It was terrible. Anyways, I laughed too loud for the mic and I feel bad.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I love these things and I also love Kira, so that's super cool. But also, Kira and I would go and get these all the time in high school from this one place in Loveland, which is like colloquially called the Buck 50 Scoop place. Mm-hmm. It's on their like billboard, but they actually have a different name. But yeah, it's exactly how it sounds. You go in, and there's a bunch of different trays of Chinese food of like varying levels of quality, and then you can just get a scoop. But like it's a big scoop, and depending on what it is, it's like $1.50 or a little bit more. And
I will
so,
say inflation has hit, and it's like only one of the dishes is
yeah,
$1.50.
I think it's just the lo mein,
It's really
which
sad.
is a bummer, dude.
still.
But yeah, so like if Kira and I found $2, we could go and get 4 crab cream cheese wontons, and it was like such a good time. They're also really good. Every time we get any of these anywhere else, we always compare them back to the Buck 50
never as
place.
good.
Yeah.
Not like the $1.50 or the $1.50 scoop place. Those wontons are like lighter but
Yeah.
crispier.
Yeah.
And all of the other ones feel so heavy comparatively.
No, I agree. I don't know
Whatever they
how
put
do
in
it.
those.
Yeah.
Delicious. So for my last food for Sarah, I really hope you appreciate this. I had to really find a good picture
Nice.
for this. Picked specifically the Little Debbie's oatmeal cream or creme pies.
I love it.
I'm not sure which is the correct pronunciation, but this was like Sarah's favorite, like sweet, I feel like in high school. I'm not really sure if it still is.
I think I've fallen away from them because they're now like the frosting
So
is a
much.
lot.
It's so much.
It's a lot, but I did adore them in high school.
Yes. But that is why I picked this picture specifically, because there's also the scent of it in a candle. It's like the oatmeal cream pie. Even though I know you can't eat a candle, I picked this specific picture.
I love it.
Because I think you really enjoy good smelling things.
I do. It's true.
That now includes candles and tea. All right, so for our next segment, we are calling this, but like actually? Because we thought it was a really good name, and now we get to share our opinions on random Reddit things. We kind of wanted to do a mix of like, am I the asshole, story time, etc. But to follow our theme of getting to know you, we wanted to look at some like silly, funny, goofy, red and green flags that you have when meeting someone.
I like
Like
it.
when you meet someone for the first time, what makes you what makes you like them or what makes you dislike them?
Yeah, for sure.
And I've got kind of a little bit of a list of them going,
Okay.
and we can discuss. But the first one I feel like we are going to have some debate about.
Okay.
But it's full-grown adults who only communicate with you through Snapchat.
L.
And this is a red
Can we
flag.
get an F in the Snapchat chat for Sarah Van Hair? That's such a bummer time.
So I would consider us both young adults. Maybe we're adults now.
Yeah.
We're in our early
I have a
20s, right?
full-time job.
I'm almost 23.
Yeah. Dang.
Dang.
Kira about to be singing like Renee Rapp about being 23.
Yeah, we went to a Renee Rapp concert
Yeah,
over
that
the
was a very
weekend.
specific reference. If you don't know, Renee Rapp was in the TV show Sex Lives of College Girls and was also
Regina George on Broadway. Mm-hmm. She's fantastic and has a wonderful voice.
yeah. So we've
But
established that we're kind of adults.
so we're in that middle stage of like, are you adults? Kind of. Are you still not that responsible?
Yeah.
But I have actually fallen away from using Snapchat. I feel like I only use it with like a select number of friends whose like main form of communication it is,
Which includes me.
which includes you.
Yep.
But when I went to undergraduate, like when I was wow, when I was
Getting your bachelor's.
that sounds so pretentious. I'm not gonna say that. Cut. Cut in action. That's disgusting. So when I was in college, I was friends with a lot of people who were just 1 year older than me. And for some reason, that 1 year like made enough of a difference for them to all use text and not Snapchat.
Interesting.
And in high school, I was always using Snapchat. You had your little Snapchat streaks, which let's be honest, was the smartest marketing Snapchat
Yeah.
has ever done ever.
Honestly.
Because it really got people to use that app
Yeah.
every single day.
No, it's so true.
But in college, I feel like everyone was judging me. Everyone was like,
Bummer.
"Oh, you're like a child because you use Snapchat." So I had to change to texting. And because of that, I've just never changed back. Now texting is like my only mode. Snapchat feels like an extra step.
Interesting.
like, ugh.
Interesting. Okay, so I am, and please don't stop listening to the podcast because of this, an Android user. And so I use Snapchat as a form of like defense, so that people aren't automatically attacking me for not, participating in the world that is Apple products. But I also I don't know. I have fun using Snapchat. I like sending videos to people and, taking a video on my phone and then sending it through text never really works.
Yeah.
And like especially videos and like pictures and stuff don't really go through Android to iPhone very well. It's even worse the other way around, to be fair. So yeah, if you think that's a red flag, that's okay. My feelings aren't hurt. Just know that some of us are using Snapchat because it just seems like the best option out there.
Yeah, I think it depends too. It's nice sometimes for me to give my Snapchat out rather than like a phone number because it feels like a degree of separation away.
Fair.
Especially if I'm just meeting you. Now I don't really do that as much, but if there was someone that I was like, oh, I don't really want you having that personal information like my phone number, here's my Snapchat.
Yeah.
Don't contact me.
And then you just never add them back.
Maybe
I
I've
don't
done
know.
that in the past.
What?
But okay, so my question is, how do we feel about that if it was like a first date scenario?
Oh.
Do you want a phone number or do you want a Snapchat?
I don't actually know because we've been long distance friendshipping who's been on more first dates. But I've been on quite a
You.
few.
I've been on some, but
And I've done it both ways. Snapchat is a little odd because then the person can see if you're posting stuff to like a public story. And so it's like they have both your contact information but also like a small sliver of social media, which is interesting.
True.
And And then also with the phone thing is kind of the same as what you were saying, where it's like, ugh, now I have this like random person that I went on 2 dates with as a contact in my phone, and they pop up whenever I start typing in Kira's name because everyone I date's name starts with a K.
What?
It's such a lie, but it was like
Okay.
3 people, which feels like a pattern. But yeah, I don't know. It doesn't. I'm not bothered by it either way.
Okay.
And I guess that's because I'm a Snapchat user as an adult, so I don't see it as being childish. And that's my answer.
I think it depends. Yeah, but I see it, and I'm not gonna bag on you for using Snapchat.
Okay, thanks.
I also think it's a very convenient way of sending things fast sometimes.
It is.
Because sometimes Snapchat works and like text messages don't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have internet but not phone service, I don't know where that would be the case, but maybe.
Somewhere, yeah.
Somewhere over the rainbow.
So the next one
Okay.
may or may not be funny
Okay.
or interesting,
Okay.
but it's the red flag that I just read was if they don't like the Cheesecake Factory.
That seems like, how do we say, like, classism?
How do we say?
Seems like you're just saying that you don't like people who are poor. I don't know. Maybe not that much, but like, I'm sorry. Have I ever been to the Cheesecake Factory?
Oh, you don't like the Cheesecake
I've
Factory?
never been.
Okay, well, we'll go. I have a
can't say
gift
that I have
card.
a positive opinion about it because I just haven't gone to it.
You know, the thing is, I feel like when I was a kid, I used to like the Cheesecake Factory a lot. Because if you've ever been there, you know they have a huge menu. It's like pages and pages long. It's got every single type of food, but it's like, why? Because you think they only serve cheesecake?
Yeah.
Which cheesecake is a huge part of their menu. And if you like cheesecake, it's pretty good.
I like
Maybe
cheesecake.
slightly overpriced, but pretty good. The amount of variety and flavors that you can have there, impressive.
Cool.
But I will say I went for one of my friends' 21st birthdays. Like that's just where they wanted to
Oh.
go. They were really excited about it.
Okay. Fun.
And I think it was the first time that I had gone in many years, especially like in my actual adult life. And I was like, this isn't good.
Oh
This
no.
food,
It didn't hold up?
the food wasn't horrible or anything. It was just like felt overpriced
That's
for
a
how
bummer.
good it was. The
Dang.
cheesecake was still good, and I still think the cheesecake was worth
Can you
it.
go and just get cheesecake?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Well, I can get behind that.
But is is the Cheesecake Factory one of those like iconic food joints in the US that I feel like everyone must like?
No.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But
Is there a restaurant that's if someone said that they didn't like it, that would be a red flag for you?
no, but there is a restaurant in mind that if they love it too much, it's a red flag for me.
What is it?
It's In-N-Out.
Oh, yeah, people are weird about that.
People are okay. We grew up in Colorado, so we didn't really have In-N-Out nearby growing up. Now I think it's like spreading across the nation, but it used
I
to
think
be
there's 2 in Colorado now.
yeah, but it used to only be a West Coast thing, specifically California, right?
Yes. Another note on that. One of our friends worked at one of the In-N-Outs in Colorado.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, wild. Anyways, not a good experience apparently, but like I don't know.
But an experience nonetheless.
It's true.
And I think that In-N-Out has way too much hype. I think
okay.
In-N-Out is okay and it's good and then it's pretty darn cheap.
Yeah.
And it's great
always
for
nice.
that. But I think the fries are really bad. I think all the rest of the food, especially animal style, and come on, the milkshakes are fun. That's great. But I can't get over their like cardboardy like bad fries.
Okay. I have only been to In-N-Out maybe 2 or 3 times in my life, and one of those times was with you.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to say on the hype. I will say that In-N-Out for the longest time in my head was In-N-Out Burger because this is a math thing, but it's not. Also, I just need to address something really fast. I'm sorry. I messed up the p-value in our last episode. I know it's 0.05. I promise. I'm not dumb. And I just misspoke. But also, it was really funny that I was like, if you don't understand stats, you're dumb. And then I just messed it up so badly myself. Regardless, coming back to In-N-Out Burger. I was told about In-N-Out for the first time in a math class in middle school because we were talking about, I think, a way to do long division and slash or factoring like binomials, like polynomials. I don't really remember why it was brought up, but our teacher did like have a 10-minute rant about how like In and Out was such an integral part of her like life, and the fact that we didn't know what it was in reference to like using it as a way to remember how to set up this math problem was like blasphemous to her. And so I understand where you're coming from with the In and Out being overhyped, because people are kind of intense about it.
Well, and sorry to go on this like side note of fast food joints, but like for the West Coast, it's In and Out. For like the Midwest, it's no, not Shake Shack.
Steak and Shake.
Steak and Shake,
Yeah.
which I do love Steak and Shake, and I do believe they have the superior shakes. Yeah, my mom is from the Midwest, and so I had Steak and Shake growing up, and I do really, really enjoy it. And then the East Coast is Shake Shack, right?
I'm gonna fight you a little bit. I do see In and Out, Shake Shack, and Steak and Shake being of the same genre, which is why I think that you're saying
Yeah.
that that's the Midwest one. But if there was a Midwest hill that everyone was going to
Runza.
stand on, no.
No?
Culver's.
Oh, okay,
People
yes.
love Culver's.
Culver's is really good too
I
for their
really
cheese
like
curd.
Culver's.
Yeah, I think I'm
But
just
people are
not.
like weird about it in the same way that people are weird about In-N-Out.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. Like
That's fair.
obsessive. But yeah, but anyways, I also don't think that there would be a place that I would be like, if you don't like this restaurant, I don't like you. I think I'm pretty chill in that respect.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my next one also kind of has to do with food.
Okay.
And it's heating up ice cream in the microwave
Oh my God.
before you scoop it to make it softer.
So one of my ex-roommates did this. Just kidding. One of my past roommates? I don't know.
You haven't broken up.
Hi, you're probably watching. Yeah, don't do that. It's weird. And ice cream is meant to be cold, and the microwave is meant to make things hot, and that's odd. And I really enjoy who you are as a person, but yeah, I can't get over it sometimes. I'm like, don't even talk to me about ice cream at this point in our lives.
Yeah.
You know? How about you?
I personally I don't hate it only because I don't think it's a red flag in my mind. I think it is like somewhat weird
Yeah.
and like out of the ordinary, but I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm completely against it because my grandma has to warm up her ice cream in the microwave because she's not quite strong enough to like scoop. And so she has to warm it up so she has enough strength to like scoop the ice cream. And
That's so
I mean,
cute.
I think that's maybe an isolated case, but like
Yeah.
when I was younger, that was always part of like the routine when I would have ice cream at my grandma's house, is we had to heat it up in the microwave so she could scoop it.
That's so cute. Yeah, I will say if it's, yeah, I don't know. If you're my peer, or even like if you're a person that I'm like supposed to be interested in, like just get stronger. If you can't handle scooping the ice cream, get out of the kitchen. Like, go eat a popsicle. I don't know. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it.
I also appreciate having a good ice cream scooper, like
Yeah. Yeah.
a strong
Yeah.
one.
For sure, for sure. Okay.
But before we close out, because I kind of came up with any of these, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but are there any like silly red flags that
Oh.
kind of,
Yes.
when you first meet someone?
Yes.
Please,
Okay.
please share
And
with the
this is mostly born out of my escapades into the apps. But I've decided that a really big red flag for me is when someone says that they have really good music taste. We've talked about this before, but when someone says that they have really good music taste,
They
that's
usually don't.
so they sure. Like it usually means that they just have a very niche music taste and they say that they have good music taste as some sort of like catch-all for future statements that they're gonna make about how your music is bad. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I have really good music taste. Like the music that I listen to is good and therefore
Yours is bad.
right, exactly. And then it's like, okay, I don't want to like go into that conversation and be like, oh, I also have good music taste because they're going to think, oh, that means that you like the same music that I like, right? Which is
Yeah.
not true. Then I have to pretend that I know a bunch of artists that I don't know, which is terrible. Or like, since I can't say that I have good music taste or else I'm stuck in that situation, then it's just kind of like an excuse for them to play their music all the time because I've conceded that I don't have good music taste and they have like already put forth that they do have good music taste.
And you feel embarrassed. You're like,
Yeah.
I know already that you're not gonna like whatever I play.
Literally.
But oh yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
like snobby. I don't know. Like, I support people enjoying the music that they listen to because I enjoy the music that I listen to. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, I have great music taste.
Better than you.
Yeah, my Spotify playlists are the best. Like, okay, like some people I do meet and I'm like, yeah, I really like your Spotify playlists, but it's never where I'm like, this is good music. You know, that's it. Sorry, that was really intense.
No, I feel like that's a really good one.
Thank you.
Definitely something to
It's a red
note.
flag. Red flag for me. So yeah, don't be getting up in these comments being like, oh my gosh, Sarah, I have really good music taste. Let me send you some songs. Sorry.
Don't slide into the DMs that way.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Maybe just don't in the first place, but it's whatever.
Well, I
I'm so sorry.
Sarah's not that open to dating, right?
Everybody
lot of
since I've moved to Seattle has been like, so are you gonna date in Seattle? Did you see how my voice went up? That means that I'm pretending to be Kiera. Just
Okay,
kidding.
we've established that I have a high-pitched voice.
It's true. After watching last week's episode, Kira was like, wow, my voice is a lot higher than I thought it was. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's
You forget.
painful all
You
the time. Just kidding.
okay.
Just kidding.
After
I'm so
saying all
sorry.
of these nice
I
things
know,
to each
I know,
other.
I know.
It's okay, it's okay, it's okay.
Um,
I'm not hurt. Continue.
I can't even remember what I was saying. Oh,
Last week we established that I have a really high voice and also laugh in a really high-pitched screech.
right, that is true. And I just honk very loudly, and the mic can't handle it. But anyways,
Just laughing.
that is a red flag for me. I can't particularly think of another red flag that I feel as passionately about. Yeah, people who don't wear pants in the winter, I'm like, what are you
What are you trying to prove?
exactly?
That you just don't get cold?
Right. It's like no one's gonna think any less of you for admitting that you get cold, and you not admitting that you're cold just kind of makes you look odd. And that's a red flag for me.
That's fair.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I just have been around too many people that are like, I'm not cold. I'm not cold. And it's like their hands are turning blue or something. And you're like, you're cold. Just admit it.
Yeah.
Why are you being stubborn? Why are you choosing this hill
Or just
to
like
die on?
don't say anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's weird you mentioning that you're not something. Do you know
Rather
what I
than
mean?
you are. Yeah.
Or just not saying anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
We're just gonna tell some stories now.
Welcome to the first installment of the Guide to Romanticizing Your 20s. This is a how-to guide on how to make friends based on stories that we will tell of how we've made some friends in the past.
And we should mention that this is not a comprehensive guide.
No.
This is more of just a story time.
It is.
About something
It's
that worked
a-
for us.
Yeah, it really, we're offering you the chance to qualitatively analyze these narratives for themes that you can gather and synthesize and then bring and apply into your own lives.
Wow, I wasn't gonna say that, but okay.
If you want, I can also highlight some themes that I've noticed from my own experiences so that you guys don't have to do that work. Okay.
Do you want to go first?
So
or do
I
you want
have
me to go
I have
first?
two stories. And so I can share the like slightly shorter one and then you can share yours and then I'll share my slightly longer one,
Okay.
which might have varying amounts of embarrassment
Okay.
splattered in.
Sounds
Okay.
great.
Great. So my first story is about how I met a friend of a friend for the first time, and it was just really funny the way that it went about. So this was while I was in undergrad, and it was my senior year. And you know how sometimes one of your friends is like, "Oh my gosh, you like have such a similar vibe as like this other friend that I have in a different group, and I really want you two to meet each other because you would get along so well, and like then my friends would be friends with each other, and it would just be so great." So this was kind of the stories and like mentions and comments that I got about this person that I ended up meeting for a while, like for about 2.5 years. It was like, oh, I just really want you guys to meet. I want you guys to meet. But like we said earlier, very busy people who kind of like have a hard time making time for things that aren't like in the schedule or required sometimes. And like you can make requirements for fun too. Like practices are a requirement for fun. You know, it's just sometimes hard to like chisel out that time, especially when you're, running around like you do when you're in college. So we're going to say that this person's name is Felix. I'm at a club fair. It is what we lovingly refer to as Free Shit Sunday. It's basically just an event for all of the freshmen who are coming onto the campus to walk around, meet clubs, but then they also get to take home a bunch of free swag, like pens and candy and stickers,
stuff.
etc. You basically come with a bag and then you leave with a bunch of free shit, which is why we call it Free Shit Sunday. Anyways, so I was at this, I was working a booth with the friend that was like, oh my gosh, I really want you to meet Felix. You have such similar vibes. Like, you guys would really get along. It'd be so fun. And we're working at this club fair when Felix comes along. And it was like, oh, this is so great. Like, oh, hey, my name is Sarah. Oh yeah, my name is Felix. Wow, it's crazy. I've been hearing about you. Like, right, we had this like mutual, like, yes, we apparently are thought of in a very similar way by our mutual friend. And, it was kind of funny, and like we just were like, oh hey, hello, and kind of went our separate ways. And it was kind of funny because at the end of that conversation we had made a joke about gaslighting our friend into thinking that we still hadn't met because she had been for so long talking about getting us to meet each other, that we were like, let's just pretend that this didn't actually happen and like be inside of her head. And so it was a really funny joke at the time. And so classes started about 4 days after that. And like we mentioned last podcast, I was a math major for one of my studies. And so I was going to this class that was like a project-based like capstone course for mathematics. And yeah, I was taking it with one of my friends, but I was showing up early and she was showing up late and stuff like that. And so I end up getting to the classroom early and I go and I have this thing where if I'm in a classroom or I'm going to like an event where there's a certain number of seats and like I know that the place is going to be mostly full and stuff like that, even when I go in and there's like seats where there's no one else next to them, I'm going to choose a seat that's next to someone because then I have the choice of who I sit next to. Whereas if you sit in an empty seat with empty seats around you, then you have no idea who's going to sit next to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I
So
get that.
there's a little how-to on choosing seats in a classroom. always pick the person that you would most like to sit next to. I do the same thing with airplanes.
That is completely fair. I always hope, though, that I just will get lucky and no one will sit next to me at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's fair. This was a pretty small classroom, and I knew that there were quite a few people signed up because of the like Canvas, like class list or whatever. Because I'm one of those people that looks at who's going to show up. But anyways, so I go and I sit down next to this person, and we like chat a little bit, and I'm like, oh hey, my name is Sarah. What's yours? Oh, my name is Philip. And I was like, oh cool, nice to meet you. And we're wearing masks because like COVID was still kind of a thing. We were all kind of unsure about what was going on. With classrooms and things like that. And so class starts and everything, and my friend that I'm taking the class with that I know comes and sits down next to me. And Philip was like, oh my gosh, hey, my friend who was taking the math class with me, it was named Emma, was like, oh my gosh, hey, Emma, like, I think I know your boyfriend. Like, are you dating like so and so? And so Philip and Emma start talking and all of this stuff, and it comes out that like Philip and I also have a mutual friend. And so we get to the end of this class, and I was like, wait a second, you said your name is Philip? I thought I met someone the other day who looks a little bit like you named Felix. And so it turns out Felix just lied about his name.
Oh no.
Because whenever like they meet new people, they don't want their name to be the first thing that they talk about, because it's like a rather like that's not actually their real name. Their real name is like slightly more interesting. But like, right? And so lied and gave a more like common name because they just don't want that first conversation to be all about how their name is like slightly special.
Oh my god, but you didn't recognize
So
them?
I didn't recognize them, and it was exactly like we had been making jokes about like gaslighting our friend and pretending that we had never met each other, but we actually just did not recognize each other at the beginning of this class. And it was so funny, and it was so like ridiculously like you couldn't tell if we were doing it on purpose or if we weren't doing it on purpose.
Yeah, you're like, is this a bit?
Right. But I like so assuredly did not recognize them at all and just thought that they were a completely different person, which like they have characteristic hair too, which I don't know why. I just like did not recognize them at all, but it was really, really funny. And we ended up like walking out of the class together and stuff like that and talking a little bit about our mutual friend. And we walked to the bike racks, and our bikes are parked right next to each other.
What are these?
Like, this is insane. Now, that story being said, I did not really become close friends with this person. Wish I did. They seem really cool. We definitely do have similar vibes. But I did end up dropping that class.
Like, I can't take it.
Because I didn't want to do the capstone project. It seemed so terrible. I don't know. I love learning math, but I don't want to, like, do it. You know?
Okay.
That's where I'm at.
Kinda.
Anyways, so that was my little story.
I have a short story now too that I think could work. And then
Okay.
we'll both have long stories.
Great. Okay.
Great.
I think that sounds great.
Okay, so mine is a little bit less funny and a little bit more like, why is this happening to me? So, growing up as an Asian American in a very white town, I feel like if there was any other Asian ever, they'd be like, oh my gosh, you look so similar to this person.
Yeah.
And then like I would meet them, I'd see that they look nothing like me and just happen to also be Asian, and then be like,
Great.
not again. But it kind of wasn't a big thing. As I got older and as like the world became more, I don't know, less microaggression-y. I don't know if that's true, but as the world kind of got better with the microaggressions that were at least being said directly to one's face, at least to me, that started happening a lot less. People stopped saying that I really looked like anyone, but, you know, sometimes they'd say that I reminded them of someone. And so I was like, okay. Until very recently, I studied abroad this past year, for about 3 months, and I was in Nepal, and I was staying there with like a small cohort of people who were doing landscape architecture. We did this community development project. It was really, really awesome. However, the interactions that I had with people thinking I look like someone else.
Oh no.
Unprecedented. So it all started like the first couple days there. It's a very small cohort. There was like 8 of us all together, and one of the girls were walking, and she's like talking. We're getting to know each other, doing those kind of intro things you do with people.
Yeah.
And then she goes, "Oh my gosh, like you are just like you look so similar to my cousin. Like you have kind of a similar like face shape and you have similar mannerisms. And honestly, you kind of like walk the same. It's crazy." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, like that's cool, but you'll like have to show me a picture of them sometimes." Pleasantries of like, "Wow, cool, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to follow up
It's
on
like
this."
when you tell someone that you know someone with the same name. It's like, okay.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Sure.
And so that happened. And then she showed me and it's like, okay, I can kind of see it. But whatever. Then we start taking classes with Nepali students. And as I'm talking to them, one of them goes, "Oh my gosh, you look just like one of my friends. Like exactly the same. You guys your faces look so similar, and like I have to get a picture." And so they show me. I'm like, "Oh yeah, we look similar." And then another Nepali student says that I look just like them. And it kind of keeps going on with all of these different people that I'm interacting with, like the people whose place we're staying at, these Nepali students. Even when we went on our trek, we did like that 65-mile hike. I mentioned it last time. We would be in the middle of the mountains, in the middle of nowhere, in these little tea houses. And then someone would say, "Oh my gosh, you look just," or like, are you like the farmer's daughter?
Oh my
like you look
gosh.
just like them." And I would just be shocked because I've never gotten that many people saying that I look like anyone ever.
Yeah.
And it just kept going and kept going and kept going. And so I guess the moral of the story is just have one of those faces that looks approachable.
Yeah.
And I guess looks like everybody else's.
That's so funny.
Because I think people were genuinely more warm to me because I looked familiar for whatever reason.
Oh.
And
That's like a weird like advantage that you have,
yeah,
I guess.
but
Like,
only in like that country.
That's
And
super interesting.
even recently, one of the people that I stayed with wrote me on like WhatsApp and said, "Hi Kiera, were you in Nepal last week?" This happened like 2 weeks ago. I was like, "No, I have not been back to Nepal since I
Oh my
left."
gosh.
And they're like, "Oh, somebody told me they saw you last week."
That's so odd.
Like people texting me these things months after I
They're
leave.
just seeing you around.
And so I just think that's like a funny story because it's like
is so
one of the
funny.
first things people would have said to me when I met them is, "Oh,
yeah.
you look like this
You look
person."
just like this person.
And it's just like
That's so funny.
at certain points I just wouldn't know what to say anymore.
Yeah. That's never really happened to me.
It happened so much within that 3-month span.
Huh.
Almost a countless amount of times.
It's so interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's my short story.
Yeah, no, that's super fun. I think one person, like you said, I did a dance class a couple days ago. One person said that I looked a lot like their friend, and I was like, that they lived with. And I was like, oh, like, did we used to be roommates and I don't remember? Which was like cheeky and clever from me. So thank you. But yeah, no, that's like the only time I can think of in the past that anyone's ever said that to me.
Yeah.
Wild.
Wild.
I guess I just don't have one of those faces. Say. It's the glasses, really. People sometimes say that I look like other people, but it's only like when we're near each other in a proximity, and I'm like, it's just because we both have brown hair, are white, and wear glasses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, wow,
Not
we look
similar.
super similar.
So, because you got to tell your little short story first, I'm gonna tell my longer story first. And it's a little bit more wholesome, a little bit less silly, but it's also how I met one of my best friends, Kat. And I feel like it's just worth telling more of like on the guide side of like, just trust the people and everything will happen and fall into place for a reason.
Amazing.
So yeah, this is the story of how Kat and I kind of became friends.
I love it. Kind of?
Kind of?
Kind of.
Well, we had a year gap. I'll get to that.
Yeah, okay.
I'll get
Sounds
to
good.
that. So when I was in college, I did join a sorority. And none of my family has really been in sororities. Like my mom wasn't, my grandma wasn't, I don't have any sisters. So it's kind of like a foreign concept. My cousins were in sororities, but we were far enough removed that I like, just didn't really know what they were. I just thought it would be a fun thing. And I was like, well, you got to put yourself out there as like this little nerdy girl from high school who's like, put yourself out there. You can be fun. You can be cool. And so I won't go too into like the university, like sorority recruitment process because it is long. And honestly, it's a story for another day because they're just, it's crazy. But I will go into how I met my very good friend Kat, who actually turned out to be my big, and that's how like sororities work. Like you have a big sister and a little sister, and it's like family trees and stuff like that. But I was on I feel like it was day 4 or 5 of recruitment.
Okay.
There are like 7 days
Oh my
of
goodness.
rush. And they've changed it now, but how it was is you'd come a week before school started and you would go and you would do these basically interviews like every single day. There were a lot of things you had to do. You had to dress up. You had to, like look nice, and you had to talk to so many people like all the time. And so I was, on day 5 of this, feeling exhausted, feeling tired, and you have a certain selection process and you get less and less houses throughout the week. If you choose them and choose each other, you'll go back. But if they don't choose you, you don't go back. And if you choose them, and there's a whole lot of stuff that goes into the matching the process. But essentially, I have been going to houses all day. You start at 6 a.m. and the longest days go till like 9 p.m.
Jeez.
So these are
Louise.
really long days.
Yeah.
And I was in the Arizona heat, like running up and down the row, going to all of these places. And I finally am at my last house of the night. And if you know anything about Arizona, specifically Southern Arizona, they have a monsoon season. And when it monsoons, it's like a torrential rain. Mm-hmm. And it's just so drenching. You just can't do anything about it. But there was talks about this monsoon maybe happening. A lot of lightning was going on, a lot of thunder. And when there is a monsoon warning, you have to stop everything. And you just have to wait because you can get like swept up in the currents.
Oh my gosh.
Because Arizona doesn't have any water infrastructure because they're not used to having water throughout most of the year. It's only this very specific time.
Yeah.
So the water infrastructure is horrible. So we have to stop.
She would know because landscape architecture.
Exactly.
That's all.
Yeah. And so we have to stop, and we're all dressed up. We have to look nice and everything. We've had to do this all day. But we have to stop and like sit huddled under this small, tiny little enclosure.
Oh, no.
For like 30, 45 minutes. They won't let us into the house because it's against these recruitment rules. So we're all just waiting. It's dark outside. It's lightning thundering, and we're just hoping we can get in. We finally do get in, and it's weird because it's pushed. It's like bordering 10 p.m. now, and we're just like, we have to do these interviews, and we have to see this house, and we have to put our best faces on.
After you've been rained on.
Yeah. It didn't actually end up raining. That was the worst part.
Oh.
Is we just like had to sit outside in the not monsoon under the shelter, hoping it wasn't going to rain for like
It's wild.
so long. I don't remember most of the conversations that I had, but I did talk to this one girl named Tess, and she was lovely. We had like musical theater backgrounds, and it was really fun. She was like so lively for being so late at night, and I was so exhausted, but she finally was able to pick me up. it was a great time. And
Nice.
I left and I was like, great, I don't remember anything, but I remember feeling good.
Just blacked out a little bit.
I honestly don't remember who else I talked to except for Tess that night. All I remember is that everyone was wearing black dresses in the sorority, and then we were wearing like whatever. So it was kind of like the movies in that way. But
Yeah. Cool.
I think it was like set 3, if that means anything to anyone. And so fast forward a little bit, I get into this sorority that Tess is in, and it's really exciting. You like run home, you do all the things, and
Did you have to like scream a chant?
so we didn't have to scream chants.
Nice.
But chants were screamed at us.
Oh.
Because when you enter a house, they have to like sing a door song to you before you enter.
Interesting.
And so, yeah, it was a it was a very, see, I don't even remember that, like
Yeah.
coming in after the lightning and the thunder
Yeah.
and everything.
Oh my gosh.
We got sung at, then we had to have these interviews, and then as you go out, you're like led out the door, and they sing to you again, and then they like
Interesting.
close the door all at once. Like everyone on the row has like very specific timing to make sure this all happens like synchronized up and down the
Interesting.
street.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Anyways.
But yeah, I get into the sorority. Things are good. And it's kind of one of those things where for Big Little, you get matched again randomly with people. And I don't think it's so random. Like they actually refer people to other ones, and you can request people at the very end. I don't know. But I was struggling this whole time because I was not used to being like this social with this many people.
Yeah.
And like the person overload and just like meeting people, trying to remember people's names. But Tess was so great the whole time. Like she would be the one that would invite me to sit at the lunch tables and at the
Oh.
dinner tables and be like, "Hi, come here." But I had been meeting all these girls, and I could just tell that I wasn't their first choice, because
Oh,
there's like the
no.
matching process of
Yeah.
like trying to get matched with the big and stuff like that. And I was like, I just want to be friends with someone.
Oh. Pick me.
Choose me, love me. And essentially, I never met Kat in that process, like formally.
Oh yeah.
Tess was like, you should meet my little, who is Kat.
Oh.
So
nice.
it's like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
family thing. And Kat and I don't even know if we really got to officially meet and do anything. We might have like sat and had lunch together at one point. She might remember better than I do, because honestly, it's all a blur.
Friend of the pod, Kat, if you want to give us your perspective,
Please do. So we never really formally met, but how the matching works is like you write your name down and your ranking of people that you've met. And it
Oh
can
my
be
gosh.
anyone in the sorority, or it can be people that you've met or not. I think, what did we do? Maybe we saw, Tess invited me to see a show with her, like musical theater show.
Cute.
And then somehow she arranged for me and Kat to meet, but it was not a formal like pairing.
Yeah.
So it was a really big leap to like put her on my sheet, because
Yeah.
if she didn't pick me as well, I would kind of just get paired with someone random. But it all worked out.
Aw,
We got
good.
paired. Little, but we weren't actually that close for the first year of friendship
Really?
at all.
Well, because you've like vacationed together.
We have vacation together. We've flown out to visit each other. Now I feel like we're super close.
Yeah.
But for the first year of our friendship, we were like,
Huh.
"Oh, it's great to see you. Hi, awkward.
This is kind of weird, but we're related
We're in this weird
in sorority
family
ways.
We'll have to have a whole sorority deep dive, because it is
that'd be super
worth
fun.
it, I think. And you can just ask me all the questions.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
But yeah, so that is how I met Kat, and it was very sweet and
Cute.
wholesome, and it was just being warm and sweet to others, whether you know them or not. Thank you, Tess, for doing that. It goes so long.
That's a theme from the how-to guide.
That's a theme from the how-to guide.
Just be open with people. Be warm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was really cute, Kira. I love that. And like I think I've met Kat a couple times when I came out and visited you,
Yeah.
maybe. So that's super sweet to actually know how you guys met. That's really cute. My story, it's gonna be kind of long. It's gonna be kind of a roundabout way of explaining how I became friends with someone who was definitely like a really important person in my life and still is just a further away important person in my life. But yeah, it's gonna be a little embarrassing, and I'm kind of shocked that I'm gonna share it on this podcast. But
Stories are meant to be shared.
yeah, it'll be entertaining, and that's all I can say. So, this is going to be a story about how I became friends with Chelsea,
Okay.
who is
Oh my
a very
God.
good friend of mine from studying abroad. And it's got a couple different layers. So, all of my friends that I went to undergrad with know that I won't shut up about studying abroad, which is wild because, like, while I did have some good times there, it definitely wasn't like a crazy, amazing, life-changing experience, but like, it definitely happened, and I do bring it up a lot.
Yeah.
So, anyways, one time when I was studying abroad, I met this girl, Chelsea, who is amazing, and I love her, and we still talk sometimes. Hopefully she's listening right now. Shout out, friend of the
Hey.
pod. Hi. So this is going to be a little story about how I met you, but it starts earlier because it's so funny and also a little embarrassing. So, picture this. You get to a new country, you don't know anyone. There's an orientation where you get to like go and get some free food at a couple different places, and then there are people that set up activities for you. So,
Good
one of these like free food activities situations was set up through this church. And so they had like a couple different student like Christian Union members that came and like were also a part of the meal and the activity and things like that. And so I went to this church, I sat at a table, blah, blah, blah. They gave us free food, they talked to us, and then we went on this hike. And I was sitting in this church at these tables with this food, and they were doing these presentations, and I could not stop laughing, which to be fair, it wasn't like a lot of laughing, but whenever someone made like kind of an odd word or phrase or had a silly accent, like I was in that realm of like everything is funny because I'm American and things here are not.
And it's different.
Yeah, so I kept on like laughing kind of a lot, and there was another person in the crowd of this church that kept on like looking at me when I left, but they would like laugh a little bit too to make me feel like a little less by myself, which was very nice.
Very sweet.
They were very nice. So I did not know this person's name. I like saw them from across the church, and I was like, wow, this person is beautiful. They just have like a very beautiful aura. I don't know how to explain it, but I was taken, right? I was like, oh my gosh, wow.
Swooning.
This person is so beautiful. And they're like laughing when I laugh, and right. And I was like, this is very sweet, whatever. Right. And so like I have seen this person's face. We go on the hike, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then I got COVID. The second week of school. And so the first week of school, I, met a couple people in my classes, but like not a lot because not everyone was really going to class in that first week, and also just kind of at all over there. Like COVID was being really weird where no one was wearing masks, but also everyone was taking advantage of the hybrid like Zoom
Yeah,
stay
totally.
stay at home kind of option. And so I didn't know anyone besides my roommates, and then I got COVID and was stuck in my room with the internet for 10 days.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, and a book. Thank God I had a book that I just bought. So that was nice. But yeah, I was stuck, I was bored, I was not feeling sick at all, so I wasn't even suffering, which like for those of you who've had COVID and did suffer, I'm so sorry. But yeah, no, I tested positive and I didn't feel anything. So I was just kind of like
Quarantining.
stuck. Yeah. And so, if you know me, I love to find things out about people. And so I was like, okay, I saw this very beautiful person at an event sponsored by a church, and I know they go to the university. I don't know their name. I didn't actually have a conversation with them, but I was like, if I saw a picture, I would know if it was them or not, right?
Fair.
And so I go to the Christian Union Instagram, and I'm like just scrolling through. I'm just looking. I'm like, let's see if I can find a picture with this person's face in it, because why not? You know, like if you're stuck in a room for 10 days, what are you going to do with that time? And so I do actually end up finding a picture that has their face in it, but
Amazing.
it's not tagged, right? And so I'm like looking at the likes on this post to see if I can find a profile that would go with their page.
Amazing.
Okay, so I'm like really far in right now.
A deep dive.
I will remind you, this is a story about meeting Chelsea. This is not Chelsea. This is a completely different person. Okay, so I end up finding, I'm like, okay, so I find this profile. It says Steven. And so, like, it's not a picture of them, but it could be a picture of them, you know? Like, I can't tell exactly from the profile. But their account is being followed by a couple other people that I met who are also studying abroad.
Okay.
So I'm like, this person was definitely at the event.
Yes.
Right? So now my like little investigation cap is on. I'm like, we have a grain of salt, and I am going to
follow
like,
it.
I'm going to fill this little shaker. I don't know. That was a weird analogy, but we're going to move on
I thought you
from
were
it.
going to go with breadcrumbs, but
I really...
good enough. Very close.
It really was more like a grain of salt. Just kidding. Okay, right? So now I have a name. I have a first name and a last name. I have Steven, like, last name, insert here. And so now I'm going on Facebook, like I'm Googling, I'm like doing all of these different things to try and find out who this person is, which is completely creepy and terrifying. But I'm like, whatever, I'm probably never going to meet them again, you know, because like it's a big university or whatever. Turns out it was a small university. But anyways, so I'm on Facebook, blah, blah, blah. Like I'm like finding information. And so I Google their last name, and Scottish castle comes up on Google.
Okay, I
And
have
I'm
heard
like,
this story.
no way. And so I click on this, and it turns out that their family is actually like living in this castle and hosts events. And like this person that I saw from across the room that I thought was beautiful and just had an amazing aura, which sounds weird, but like I don't know how to explain that, is like a baron or will be a baron, which again just kind of made me just tighten the investigation cap like further down on my head, because I was like, I'm in England and I met a baron. I did not meet a baron. I did not know his name. This is just me being a creepy weirdo. So anyways, right? Now I'm like, I have his entire family's names now, like because it was on the website about who lives in the castle. So I'm going on Facebook, I'm looking up their profiles and things like that. I know his brother's name. I know his sister's name. Like I know his brother did choir, and I can watch. His brother was like very public on Facebook, right? And again, reminder, I'm not usually like this. Quarantine.
This is a
don't-
special circumstance. A special circumstance.
Right. I don't do this with everyone that I meet. I promise. Just kidding. I winked at the camera for the audio format, and it was for a joke. I promise. I do not stalk people this aggressively. But anyways, I'm stuck in a room, quarantine, don't know anyone. Time changes are weird. The friends that I do have back in America, I cannot talk to for most of the daylight hours. And so I'm entertaining myself, right? And so I know vastly more information about this person than even the people that I'm living with, you know? And so I'm like, haha, this is funny. I take a couple videos. I show people what I was able to find. Isn't it crazy that, like, you know, this person that I was randomly trying to find on the internet ends up being a baron? Ha ha ha, this is wild. I get out of quarantine 10 days later, and lo and behold, there's another free food event. Which, if
Perfect.
you know me,
Free food.
that's I'm there, you know? Kira's like, I do things that will bring me joy, and not much can stop me. Free food's one of those things. And so I show up to this event, and this person who I found a lot of information about is there. And I was like, this is crazy. And I was like, do I go up and say hello? Do I not go up and say hello? Good news is Steven is very friendly. And so Steven was like, oh my gosh, hi. I think I saw you at this event the other day. My name is Steven. And I was like, oh, hi, my name is Sarah. Like, this is so crazy. like, are you also serving this free food? Wow. And so I end up sitting with Steven and talking with them, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Like, what do you study? While in the back of my head, I'm just like, there's so many things about this person, and this is crazy, and what is going on? My life is insane. And also, I'm just kind of like, you are beautiful. And so, right, anyways, Steven is talking with me. We're exchanging information. We're not exchanging information. But we're like getting to know you conversations. That's how this goes into this.
Banter.
And Steven finds out that I play Ultimate Frisbee. And he's like, oh my gosh, you should definitely meet this other girl. She's sitting right over there, and points at like one of the other tables where the free food is. And I was like, oh, that's super cool. And that girl is Chelsea.
Aww.
Yep. And so Chelsea and I end up going to a Frisbee session, like practice session. And we end up living like 2 or 3 blocks away from each other. We ride the bus together to Frisbee for every time after that. We went to all of the Frisbee socials together after that. And so my little like Stalker McStonkerton situation, which I did tell Chelsea about and I never told Steven about, led me to have this really great friend and to have someone that like ended up being, you know, a bit of a lifeline for me, just because it was like having that one person that I knew I could call if I wanted to eat dinner with someone, or like someone to go with to events and things like that was great. And so yeah, that's kind of my roundabout, a little embarrassing, kind of funny, wild story of how Chelsea and I became friends. Chelsea even actually did like a ballroom dance mock competition with me too, which
so
like
cool.
Yeah, we ended up having so much in common. Like she also was a like mathematics major and things like that. And so, you know, friends kind of happen in a very weird way sometimes, but also like it's really beautiful. And it's also just one more really funny thing about this story. I end up spending slightly more time with Steven because I end up starting to go to the church that he was a part of. And I was like, wow, this is wild. I never let it slip that I had looked up his entire family because I would have rather died.
Yeah, that would have been horrible. That would have been
Terrible.
unrecoverable.
Catastrophic. I slipped up once. And that was right when I had a going away barbecue in England, like for when I was leaving and coming back to the States. And I was saying goodbye to everyone and stuff like that. And, you know, like, oh, are you going to come back to visit? Blah, blah, blah. Like, if you, like, people were telling me, like, if I came back, you know, I could stay with them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I had, like, found out from Stephen that he had family in Scotland. And so I was like, oh, yeah, like, you know, if I come back and visit, I would love to, like, see your family's, like, castle in Scotland. And so Steven looks at me and he gets this like kind of sad and like scared, but like trying to hide it look on his face. And he's like, oh my gosh, like who told you? Like, I don't like people really knowing. It just feels weird. And I was like, what do I do? Because I didn't want to just fess up like, oh yeah, before you had even introduced yourself to me, I knew
Everything.
this information,
I knew
you
everything.
know? But so instead I was like, oh, Chelsea told me, which was really going out on a limb because I didn't even know if he had told Chelsea. And he was like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense because they had done like a Zoom project together during COVID. But
And
yeah.
he was at his castle in Scotland.
Exactly. And so I talked with Chelsea afterwards and Chelsea was like, oh my God, why did you say that it was me? Like, I feel so bad. He like told me not to tell anyone. And I was like, Chelsea, there was no other option.
It was you or me.
It was like, I'm not going to just throw myself under a bus and let it roll over me. I would have never recovered. Like the amount of embarrassment, I would have just become deceased at that point. But now I'm telling you about it in a podcast. So, Steven, you know who you are. If you are watching this, I'm so sorry. But also, I do think you're really cool.
And have a very beautiful aura.
You do.
Well, that was amazing.
I'm so
I've heard parts of that story before for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've heard it to like quite the detail that you've just told it. It's wonderful.
I was like, a story about meeting someone. I got it. I
Yeah.
know. I know what I'm gonna have to talk about.
So, the moral of the story really is if you want to make friends, is a sorority your best option? Very debatable. You could argue it. You could argue it.
Okay. Arguably speaking.
No, yeah, I was trying to make that joke and it didn't happen. But no, it's the best way to meet people, but it's definitely a way
yeah,
to meet people in interesting ways.
I'd also say stalking people that you see from across the room. Arguably speaking, not the best way to make friends, but sometimes
Sometimes it works
it
out.
works. I had a really good time. I am hoping that you as listeners and you as my friend Kiera are not freaked out by the information that I can gather on a person through the internet or the fact that that's how I was spending my quarantine time. Let's just hope that I never get COVID again. Knock on wood. And that I never, get bored enough that I am that creepy.
Yeah. And you know what? Let's just hope we didn't bore everyone with our
Yeah.
very
Let's just hope
long-winded
you were entertained.
speeches, about ourselves. But
Yes.
we thought it was really important for you to get to know us and our perceptions of each other.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So thank you so much for listening to episode 2 of
Arguably speaking.
We really enjoyed talking to y'all, and we are gonna have so much fun editing this podcast.
Yes, and be sure to follow our social medias. We have an Instagram, and you can find this podcast on Spotify
And YouTube.
and YouTube. So definitely follow along. We're going to have lots more episodes. We'll be posting new episodes weekly on Wednesday.
On Wednesdays. Thanks so much for watching.
Bye.